Welcome to your Research Business Daily Report, sponsored today and this week by Mobile Posse, the way advertisers, content providers, and wireless carriers can proactively reach consumers on their mobile phones. To the best of my knowledge, no successful market research business owner has ever written an autobiography. That's still partially true. Have you heard about Profit Magic? It's a 119-page quote-unquote fable about starting a professional career, risking starting your own company, and building one that survives inevitable ups and downs. The author is Directions Research founder Randy Brooks. He's familiar to all of us, although this fast, entertaining, informative, and inexpensive paperback written for entrepreneurs never uses the word market research. Profit Magic spotlights moments in Randy's proud professional career under a pseudonym, and it offers some reasons behind the prospering, almost 25-year-old custom research agency. Randy, who is recuperating from surgery, spoke to us from his home about the book and some of its highlighted points. Now, this conversation is a bit lengthier than normal, but stick with it. Randy has quite a bit to offer.
It was on my mind for years to write a book, and what I ended up doing is writing this as a fable, in a way that was, I think, humorous and entertaining, that's not specific to Directions Research, but it draws heavily on my experiences and the experiences I had over the 25 years that I've run this firm.
I know that everybody at Directions has gotten a copy. If everybody there reads it, clearly everybody's going to get something a little bit different. But the key overriding way of running that business has always been the idea that the client is king. Talk about that, just for a couple of seconds and explain that.
I think most people would say they think of the client as king, but somebody somehow in finance or accounting makes decisions about how they manage the firm. A receptionist that we have is certainly more expensive than having an answering machine. But when our clients call, I guarantee you Penny knows who they are. And she knows that I was out having surgery last week. And she knows who that person might be able to talk to. And that's a way of saying to the client, you're so important to me that I don't want an answering machine talking to you. I want a person who's been here 10 years who knows your voice. And knows, who you are and where you interact in our firm. Almost everything we do is geared around making sure that everything we can do to make the experience for the client exceptional is actually done that way. And it works. I mean, part of the reason I wrote the book is we end up 1 or 2 on the customer satisfaction survey done in the industry every year, and we do it via the things I've written about in the book. So I think it could be true in other sorts of businesses, where you look at the staff and you realize that these people really are central, that they're the contact points with your clients. And it, taking care of them and instilling in them an understanding that, but for the client, we're out of business. And so we're going to measure how successful you are at keeping the client happy, and your rewards are going to be related to how you keep clients happy. I think it works everywhere.
You think that you have less actual rules for your employees to follow than other organizations?
Oh my God, Bob, we have no rules.
Okay.
We have, really, I don't know people have asked me about this. I'm not sure what rules we have. We have some people who are not morning people. They come in late. They stay late. We have people who decide they want to live in, their hometowns instead of coming to Cincinnati. I don't know what our rules are. Our rules really are to do an adequate amount of work to justify your presence in the firm and keep your clients happy.
Although you've had conversations about acquiring other companies over the years, from what you told me before, you've never actually even had a second meeting. Explain why.
From time to time, I've been called by old friends who had small businesses who wanted to sell. From time to time, it's occurred to me I should look more actively at this as a vehicle for growing the firm. But I've had the first conversations, and we've come back and talked about it. One of my people looked at me one day and he says, Randy, you've always said that this doesn't work. Why do we think we can do a better job? A merger is 2 cultures coming together. And if you have a successful firm who is acquired by a successful firm, the acquirer is going to have some things they want to see done differently, and almost invariably that turns out badly. I mean, I have 40 years in the business, as I told you earlier. I can't think of too many mergers that 5 years later people look out and say, this really worked for everybody. Almost always the acquired company vanishes, literally vanishes. It's much easier to hire one person at a time and bring them in and work them into our organization and support them and counsel and coach them and get them to march to our, our music, than it is to get 300 people in another place to do that. I've talked to friends of mine that work in large companies that consist of that, and their life is constantly trying to get everybody on the same tune. We acquired three outstanding account people over the last 3 years, and they collectively, let me think about this, accounted for like 16% of my sales last year. So I had an acquisition, but I did it one person at a time. And that we know works. But acquiring a whole company is we're not up for sale to anybody, and we don't think we're going to be an acquirer.
There are new technologies, there are new methodologies, there are newer ways, better ways, perhaps, of doing research. But the impression I have from you is that you don't really think the core essence of the research business, from a vendor and client standpoint, has really changed much at all.
No, I don't think the questions have changed. Management still wants to know if they got any good new product ideas, and so we test them. They want to know which formula for the new product or for the established brand is superior, and they want to know how they're doing in the marketplace. They want to understand their brand's positioning in the marketplace, and that's work I did 40 years ago, and that's work we're doing tonight. Certainly, the data collection methods have changed dramatically, and the internet's given us powers in sample size that's affordable that we never would have imagined, and that's also opened the door to doing more powerful analytical inquiries into the data set. I mean, we did some concept testing for a client of ours recently, doing 2,000 interviews, because we're looking for tiny differences, and there's no way that would have been affordable 30 years ago. No way. And so the sample sizes have changed, and some statistical methods have been proven to be useful with these larger sample sizes. But we're testing concepts, we're testing products, and we're testing opinions. And just like I did my first day on the job.
I'm assuming it wasn't your intent to go into the market research industry as a career, but after 40 years in it, are you proud of what you've done?
Oh yeah, in fact, it was my intent. At Maryland, I was exposed early on to a course in market research, and I thought it was cool. And I've always thought of statistical inference as sort of black magic. The idea that I could interview 300 people and make mathematically sensible assertions about the universe, I thought was fantastic. I'm 65. I consulted on a research project this afternoon. I have several occasions to encounter clients who had made decisions about products and brands and new products and services for years without any research, or with so little research it wouldn't have mattered. And we go in there and begin to do research, and we uncover things that they did wrong. That management thought was okay, but that when you got consumers to look at the whole thing, their judgments were not in line with what consumers in America wanted. And it's gotten even more complex.
But can you get the same things from 300 people today that you got 20 years ago or 40 years ago?
It'd be very hard to go back and really answer that in the factual way. I do think we're better at it. I think the process of analyzing the data is light years ahead of where it was. The nuance that is accounted for in the data by the kind of statistical minds that we have to bring to bear, it is light years ahead. And so I think we answer questions for our clients. But I mean, I don't think the industry would grow every year the way it does if it wasn't better. You go back to when I started, There was no research done by pharmaceutical companies or financial services companies or B2B firms of any magnitude. Restaurants didn't do any research. The politicians didn't do any research. And today, it's evolved to the point where everybody who's anybody is out doing surveys to figure out how they're doing. And I think the reason for that is it works.
I know all you RBDR viewers join me in wishing Randy a rapid and pain-free recovery. By the way, you can order Profit Magic from Amazon or Barnes & Noble. It makes a very nice holiday gift. That's your Research Business Daily Report, sponsored by Mobile Posse. We hope you have a great research weekend, and we look forward to seeing you all again on Monday.